All right, today we are going to demystify algebra. And I want you to just forget for a second about all those intimidating problems from your old textbooks. Think of it more like a language, a really powerful tool for solving puzzles. And I promise, by the end of this, you are going to have the skills to become pretty fluent.
So when you first look at it, does it kind of look like a secret code? Well, in a lot of ways, it is. At its core, really, it's just a bunch of messages and puzzles, and they're just sitting there, waiting for us to crack them.
And you know, every good puzzle, every good game needs a final boss, right? And we are absolutely going to tackle a big one today. Now, it might look like a total monster, but I promise you we're about to build up a toolkit of 4 key skills that'll make solving this, well, surprisingly straightforward.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to unpack brackets. Then, we'll learn how to work backwards with this cool technique called factorization. After that, we'll get into algebraic fractions. And finally, we're going to put it all together to really master multiplication and division. You ready? Let's dive in. All right, our first stop, it's all about getting a handle on brackets. This is a really fundamental skill in algebra called expansion. And really, it's all about clearing out the clutter so we can see what we're actually working with. So, what exactly is expansion? Well, it's just the process of getting rid of brackets. That's it. And how do we do it? Through multiplication. You just take everything outside the bracket and multiply it by everything inside the bracket. This is going to be our very first tool for making these things simpler.
Okay, let's see that in action. So over on the left, you've got a pretty simple case, right? The 6 just multiplies everything inside its bracket. Now look at the right. It's the exact same idea, just with a few more moving parts. Every single term in that first bracket gets multiplied by every single term in the second one.
But wait, we're not quite done yet. After you expand, there's this super important cleanup step, and that's combining like terms. So what are those? They're just terms that share the exact same variables. So here, you can see we can combine the minus 6r's and the plus 4r's, and that gives us minus 2r's. And just like that, you've got a much simpler, tidier final answer. Awesome. Okay, so now we know how to take brackets apart. So what's next? You guessed it, we're going to learn how to put them back together. This whole reverse process is called factorization, and let me tell you, it is one of the most powerful puzzle-solving techniques in all of algebra, for real. So here's the main takeaway. Factorization is literally the opposite of expansion. We're starting with the final answer, the expanded expression, and our job is to play detective and figure out what original pieces, what factors, were multiplied together to get there. We're basically putting the brackets back on. Now, for some types of expressions, there's this really cool visual trick we can use to find the factors. It's called cross-multiplication. It's a great way to just organize your thoughts while you're hunting for the pieces of the puzzle. Okay, what's so cool here is just how flexible this method is. Take a look at the left. For x squared plus 6x plus 8, the method helps us find positive 2 and positive 4. Why? Because they multiply to get 8 and they add up to get 6. Perfect. But now, look at the right. With k squared minus 16, it looks like the middle part is just gone. So what's the trick? Well, you just have to think of that middle term as a 0. So what 2 numbers multiply to get negative 16 but add up to 0? Ha! Positive 4 and negative 4. See? The method still works. Like perfectly. So cross-multiplication is just one tool in the toolbox, you know? Sometimes the easiest way is just to pull out the biggest thing they have in common, the highest common factor. Other times, you'll spot these special patterns, like the difference of squares. And for those really long expressions, you can even group terms together to factor them. The main thing is to have all these tricks up your sleeve, ready to go. Okay, so we've got a handle on brackets. Let's level up and add another layer to our skills, combining fractions. And hey, don't worry, the logic behind this is exactly the same as the simple fractions you probably learned way back in the day. So, this is the classic problem, right? You can't just go adding or subtracting fractions when the bottom parts, the denominators, don't match. It's like trying to add apples and, well, oranges. You've got to find some common ground first. And here's how you do it, broken down into 4 simple steps. Step 1, find that common denominator. Easiest way, just multiply the 2 original ones together. In this case, that's 6c. Now step 2, and this is super important, you have to adjust the top of each fraction to match the new bottom. So the first fraction gets multiplied by 2c on both the top and the bottom. Step 3, do the same for the other one, multiplying by 3. And finally, step 4, once they both have that same 6c on the bottom, you can just combine the tops, the numerators, into one single fraction. Done!
Okay, quick, but really, really important tip when you're subtracting. See that negative sign in front of a fraction? It applies to the whole numerator, not just the first piece. So when you've got something like minus, and then in parentheses, e minus 5, that negative sign has to be shared or distributed. It becomes minus e and plus 5. It's such a tiny detail, but trust me, it can make all the difference between getting it right and getting it wrong.
All right, this is it, the moment of truth. We've built up our skills, we've mastered expansion, we've got factorization down, we know how to combine fractions. Now we are ready. It is time to face that final boss from the beginning of our journey.
And here it is, our final boss. Yeah, it might still look a little intimidating, but the difference is now we have a plan. This isn't just some random mess of symbols anymore. Nope, it's a structure, and it's made of pieces that we now know exactly how to handle.
You want to know the secret to beating any division problem with fractions? It's one simple, super elegant move. You never actually divide. Instead, you take the second fraction, flip it completely upside down, you invert it, and then you change that division sign to a multiplication sign. And just like that, poof, we've turned a really nasty division problem into a much, much easier multiplication one. Okay, now it's time to bring out our big gun, factorization. We're going to break down every single piece of this problem into its simplest factors. That a squared minus b squared, hey, that's that special difference of squares pattern we saw earlier. For 10a minus 5b, we can just pull out a 5. We do the same thing for 8a minus 4b, we pull out a 4. And that a minus b squared, well, that's just a minus b times itself.
And now, here comes the most satisfying part of the whole process. Seriously, because everything is factored, we can finally see what they have in common on the top and the bottom. There's an a minus b up top that can cancel with 1 on the bottom. There's a 2a minus b on the bottom that cancels perfectly with a 1 on top. It feels like you're just clearing away all the junk to reveal this simple, beautiful structure hidden underneath.
And after all that canceling, look at what we're left with. I mean, that huge, complicated mess of an expression has been boiled down to this. Just 4 times a plus b on the top and 5 times a minus b on the bottom. That is the power of the toolkit we just built. We literally took chaos and found the order inside of it.
So, we did it. We beat the final boss, which is awesome. But what does it all really mean? I mean, why bother learning to shuffle all these letters and numbers around in the first place?
You know, the real power of algebra, it isn't just about finding out what x is. It's a way of thinking. It's the ability to look at a problem that seems totally messy and complicated, apply a clear set of logical rules, and just strip away all the noise until you find the simple truth that was hidden inside all along. And let me tell you, that is a skill that is useful way, way beyond any math class.